Welcome to the first day of Chapter 5. This is our Sanitation chapter. A lot of stuff to know in here. Usually takes me a few days to do this, so we're going to start out. Actually, I'm going to try and do the first 2 days right now, and we'll go from there. So why do we need to learn this? It is required to be successful in the salon. Excuse me. And for the health and safety of both you and the client. Okay, federal agencies. OSHA is a part of the U.S. Department of Labor. It's to regulate and enforce safety and health standards to protect employees. The Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970 regulates exposure to potentially toxic substances, and it's for informing employees, of possible hazards in the workplace. OSHA requires this. It is part of this Occupational Safety and Health Act. HCS is the Hazard Communication Standard. This is the rule that requires manufacturers to provide an SDS for each product. We've talked about these before. We have a whole binder full in the library. So, but it's SDS stands for Safety Data Sheet. Just know, I've been doing this so long that they just have changed this in the last few years to SDS. So if I say MSDS, I'm talking about the same thing. But I'll try to remember to say SDS. It's Safety Data Sheet. Okay? The EPA, know this, guys. The EPA is the one that registers all disinfectants sold and used in the United States. Okay? If it is not EPA registered, it is not legal to use in the United States. Okay? All disinfectants. Okay? Laws and rules. Laws are made by federal and state legislatures. They determine your scope of practice, and they establish guidelines for regulating the agencies. Rules and regulations are more specific than laws. They establish specific standards of conduct and can be changed or updated frequently. This is what our state board does, is the rules and regs, okay? There are laws, and we always call them state law. It comes out of the state law book, but there are the laws, and then there are the rules and regulations is basically the description of the law, what the law requires. Okay? So know that. Alright, principles of infection. I got some definitions here for you. An infection is the invasion of body tissues by disease-causing pathogens. An infectious disease is caused by pathogenic organisms that enter the body. Okay, to clean is a mechanical process. If you're cleaning something, it is mechanical. You're using, some kind of a cleaner, the Dawn dish soap, I just almost said spick and span. What is? Ship shape, and water and your nail brush or some kind of a cleaning brush to clean your things off. That is to clean. It's a mechanical process. Disinfection destroys most, not all, most harmful organisms on environmental surfaces. Okay? Know that a disinfectant is not effective against bacterial spores. Okay, disinfectants, this is what they're all about. They are designed to prevent the spread of infection and disease. They must be bactericidal, virucidal, and fungicidal. Salons are required to use a product that contains all three. Okay, if clients are infected because you didn't clean and disinfect properly, you may be held legally responsible. This means they can sue you if you did not clean and disinfect your things properly and they got some kind of an infection from you doing their service. Okay, potentially harmful organisms. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Okay, we're going to start with bacteria, and that's all what I'm going to do on this section of it because it's pretty long. Already I've given you a lot of information, and I'm going to be giving you a whole pile more here. I'm sorry, I got a cough, guys. So the definition of bacteria: one-celled microorganism that has both plant and animal characteristics. Okay, a microorganism is any organism of microscopic or submicroscopic size. And bacteria can exist almost anywhere. Okay, there are two types. There's pathogenic, which is the harmful. They cause disease and infection. So you know, these are the bad guys. The pathogenic bacteria are the bad guys. Okay, non-pathogenic are not harmful, and they may actually be useful. So classifications. I need to move my little board here and see if I can't get this video camera to move with me. Okay, guys, I'm going to try. Hopefully it won't shut me off. Here we go. Okay, it says I have a full battery, so we should be okay. By the way, welcome to the basement. Sorry, I hope I'm not making you sick when I wiggle around with this. Okay, because I had to put the Chapter 5 thing right in front of everything. Alright, oh looky there. Okay, so let me move this board down. And then, there we go, cocci. Ooh, just about tripped over my laundry basket. Okay. Cocci are round. Okay. I actually have a handout for this, but I just kind of drew it up on here. Okay. Cocci are round. Think about the letters in the word cocci. They're round. Okay. The C's, the O. Okay. They kind of hang together like grapes. Okay, Staphylococci, obviously I didn't write the cocci on at the bottom there, I didn't have room. But Staphylococci grow in clusters like grapes. Okay, they are pus forming, they are what causes your abscesses, pustules, and boils. Streptococci, this is your strep throat, okay, blood poisoning, strep throat. They're in a kind of a curved line, like a string of beads, okay. They do also form pus. And again, they cause strep throat and blood poisoning. Diplococci. Okay, they are spherical. So, you know, I'm not too good at drawing spheres, so just know they're like a marble. Okay? But they grow in pairs. Okay? And diplococci is what causes pneumonia. And you die from pneumonia, or you can die from pneumonia. So that's the way to remember diplococci. Okay? You die from pneumonia. Bacilli. Next sheet down. Hello. Where am I? There I am. Okay, bacilli are rod-shaped. Again, look at the way the word is spelled. You've got two I's and two L's in there. Are like rod-shaped, so remember that. Okay, bacilli are rod-shaped. They are the most common. Okay, bacilli causes tetanus, typhoid fever, tuberculosis, and diphtheria. All these things that we get shots for. Okay, that's it for that. And then down here to spirilla. Okay, there, hello, spirilla are spiral shaped. Okay, there's some funky words here. Spiral or corkscrew shaped. One type of spirilla bacteria is called Treponema papillida, and it causes syphilis. And the other one, Borrelia burgdorferi, causes Lyme disease. Okay, so the Lyme disease that you get from ticks, that is a spirilla cocci, that bacteria that causes that. Okay, growth and reproduction of these things. I'm going to go back and sit down. I'll just sit right here. Will work too. Okay, so there's not a whole lot to look at right now. Anyway, growth and reproduction. Active stage is when they grow and reproduce, also called binary fission. Okay, when they reach their largest size, they divide into two new cells, which are called daughter cells. They're approximately, this happens about every 20 to 30 minutes. So imagine on our tables at the school, in our 60-minute class, okay, 2 to 3 times these things are dividing. Can you imagine how many bacteria are on our tables that you set your purse on, and you put your hands on, and you set your drinks on? So those they reproduce that often. If conditions become unfavorable, which means that they don't have heat or wetness, or, you know, it gets too dry for them. Sorry, guys. Then they turn into, they either die or they become inactive. Okay, when they're inactive, they kind of coat themselves with a wax-like outer shell. So think about like an M&M. Okay, the inside chocolate is the bacteria, and the outside coating, which isn't really waxy, it's kind of crunchy, but you get the idea. It's a waxy coating, and it protects it from all the disinfectants that we use. So that's why disinfectants can't kill all bacteria. Okay, they can stay, if they have that, if they've turned into, it's called spores, okay, this outer shell, if they've covered themselves, they're inactive, it's called a spore. They coat themselves with that outer shell. They can stay that way until favorable conditions resume. How about looking at the flowers for a little while? There we go. Welcome to the basement, by the way. So yeah, until it gets warm and wet, you know, they can stay that way for a long, long time. They are not harmed by heat, cold, or disinfectants. Okay, bacterial infections. You cannot have a bacterial infection unless pathogenic bacteria are present, and that's the bad guys, remember? Inflammation means heat, redness, pain, swelling, and pus is a fluid that's created by the infection. Okay, a local infection is like a pimple or an abscess. It's confined to a particular part of the body. Why local is on there and not systemic, I don't know. So local is just confined to a particular part of the body, and systemic is it's through your whole system. It got in your bloodstream, it's through your whole system. Okay, so local and systemic. Alright, so we have a whole section on staph infection. Staph infection can be picked up on countertops, doorknobs, everywhere. Okay, these are the things that the ones that grow. Oh, hello. Let's go back up here. In clusters like grape, Staphylococci. Okay. But you can get these things on countertops and doorknobs. Anything that hasn't been cleaned off, right? It can also be spread by skin-to-skin contact, like a handshake. It can be spread by unclean tools and implements, so make sure that your combs and clippers and clips and nail things, everything has got to be disinfected. It can also cause food poisoning or toxic shock syndrome. Okay, those things are caused by staph infections. MRSA. I'm not sure. MRSA has gotten, I don't want to say popular, but I had never really heard about it until just probably the last 10 years. It's really gotten to be kind of a big thing. It stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. MRSA. MRSA. Okay? It starts out looking like a pimple or a spider bite or an ingrown hair, something like that. One of my children has had this a couple of times, so it's not a good thing to have. She actually has scarring. But, you know, you don't realize because at first it just seems like an ingrown hair or something. People can be carriers. You may not necessarily actually get the MRSA infection, but you could carry it. And so if you have it on your skin and we shake hands and I have a hangnail, I can actually get MRSA that easily. Okay, it is not an easy thing. It's not a hard thing to get. Okay, if it is left untreated, it can kill you. It can kill you. I know that in 2010, they shut down the high school at Bethany to clean everything up because they had so much MRSA going on with their students. My child that got it, the doctor suggested that if she was going to use the weight room, that she bring a bottle of bleach and a rag and wipe down before and after she worked on the weight machine. You know, it was the janitors were very nice. They gave her a nice little caddy to carry that stuff in. But yeah, she did do that because once you've had this, it is very, very painful. Okay, very painful. So, but again, MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Looks like a pimple, a spider bite, or an ingrown hair. And then you swell up like crazy, by the way. People can be carriers, and it can result in death if it's untreated. Especially if you get it somewhere, you know, up on your shoulder, somewhere closer to your heart is really bad. Or up, you know, on to closer to your brain if you got it on your cheek or on your ear. Okay. Communicable diseases. That means it spreads from one person to another. We are having class online because of the coronavirus, and that is something that is communicable. It spreads from one person to another. Okay, according to your book, you cannot service clients if you have a cold, if you have ringworm, if you have pink eye, if you have a viral infection, if you have an infection of your natural nail, or if you have a toe or foot infection. Okay. And that's actually all I'm going to cover in this one. I know I didn't have a real long lecture, but that's a lot of information for you guys to get. So you might want to watch this more than once. I will have it up tomorrow morning. Thank you.